All right, here we go. I think we're set. All right, a little bit about SAME, the Society of American Military Engineers. I just wanted to highlight some of the mission and the goals of the organization. Not sure if you've heard of SAME, but its mission is to lead collaboration in support of our national security priorities. It really is dedicated to national security. It's an organization that I've been a member of for over 20 years. I'm a fellow in the organization, and it is a very near and dear to my heart. Actually, these goals, the goals of the organization are listed here, and these actually are going to be rolled out very shortly. But you're getting a little preview of our the new 2030 goals. And the three goals really are pretty simple: drive partnerships, deliver solutions, and develop people. And I will say that, you know, the partnership piece here is really what this meeting is all about. And we appreciate to partner with organizations like ASCE to talk about critical infrastructure issues and things. Still learning this clicker here. I'll get it by the end. So just some fun facts about SAME. Formed about 100 years ago in 1920, right after World War I. The battlefield commanders in World War I realized when they came back that all the technology development was done within the military, and they really felt that, hey, we could leverage the private sector to improve our technological advantages on the battlefield. And that's why they formed SAME, to bring the public and private sectors together to talk about things like that. One interesting piece that I find is that the U.S. president was the national president of SAME in 1928, and that was Admiral Dawes. 22, there's over 22,000 members around the world, over 1,500 corporate members. And we're very proud to say that we've given last year we gave $1.1 million in scholarships to 750 participants or recipients. We've got one more event in 2024, and that is our holiday party. I would like to extend an invitation to you. You're invited to our holiday party. It's December 11th at Stonebriar Country Club. It is a joint event between the Dallas and Fort Worth posts. And if you want more information regarding the event, you can go to the website at same.org/Dallas. And just for more information regarding actually at the national level, same.org, you can learn everything you want to know about SAME at the national level. And then if you want to come to the Dallas Post, you just put a little slash in there and /Dallas. And we've got our calendar there and got all of the upcoming events and talks about the Dallas Post there. And this is the final slide. And I just want to say happy Valentine's, happy Veterans Day. Oh, that's in February. Happy Veterans Day. And all the veterans were already recognized today, but I just want to say, you know, thank a veteran today and always thank a veteran. I just want to say thank you for this time today.
Thank you, Jeff. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge our head table. On my left, your right, we have Farwa Sultan. She's our branch secretary. And we have Jerry Cotter as our keynote speaker. And Jeff Davis, you already met. He's the president of SAME. We also have Angela Flans. She is going to be talking about the last decade in our history and heritage program. She was past president also in 2014 through 2015. We also have Brad Hernandez representing AECOM as a sponsor, and also he's a past president. Which year was it? Right after Andrew. At this stage, do we have any past presidents of the ASCE Dallas branch? If you are, would you please stand to be acknowledged? Do we also have any past presidents from SAME? If you are, please stand to be acknowledged. I have anyone? Not yet. Jeff will be in December. Are there any Region 6 leadership? Sean is not here today. Um, how about Texas section leadership? We have Mark Boyd and Julie. Are there any student chapters or students from UTA? Thank you. Any student chapters or students from SMU? Don't have any. Any first-time attendees? Thank you for coming. Please come see me after the meeting. I'd love to connect with you. I also want to thank our morning session speakers, Hyunsik Moon, Peter Cow, and Surav Newpain with Consor for presenting this morning on load rating of DFW International Airport taxiway bridges for jumbo jet aircraft loads. Let's give them a round of applause. Also, we have a big announcement today. It's a new scholarship named James W. Griffin, and I'm going to ask our scholarship chair to talk about it.
Hello. So I'm really excited to be here today. We announced this last month, so for those of you who are at the Centennial, I apologize just a repeat. But there's lots of new faces here today, and many online, so I'm excited to make this announcement. James Wilson Griffin, or Jim as he was known, was an active member of the Texas civil engineering community since graduating UT Austin in 1957. In the early 60s, Jim worked for the Uvalde Construction Company, and one of the projects he worked on was the original construction of the Dallas North Tollway, north of downtown. Subsequently, he was recruited by the Texas Turnpike Authority as their sole engineer to lead the development of new projects such as Mountain Creek Lake Bridge and the Houston Ship Channel Bridge, as well as decommissioning the DFW Turnpike when it subsequently became I-30 between Dallas and Fort Worth. He led the development and financing of extensions of DNT into Plano, as well as the PGPT Turnpike, the Chisholm Trail Parkway in Fort Worth, and then Jim served as the first executive director for NTTA and consecutively as the interim CEO of the TxDOT Texas Turnpike Division. Led the development of financing multiple Central Texas tollways, including SH 130 around Austin. Jim retired from NTTA in 1999, but continued to support the toll industry working as a consultant across Texas. For everyone who knew Jim, he was a humble man who cared for his staff. He took the time to talk with everyone and get to know them. His professional legacy is one of hard work and building a vision that is now the roads you use every day. Jim passed away almost just over a year ago now, on October 21st, 2023, and we honored his legacy then with a moment of silence during our branch meeting. Following his passing, his family and friends worked with a local philanthropic organization called the Dallas Foundation to donate his legacy to good causes. Most of these causes were to be anonymous because Jim was a humble man and wouldn't want his name associated just purely for the recognition. However, his family and friends all agreed that they wanted to put a portion of his legacy to memorialize him and support the thing that he loved the most, the civil engineering community, and the future of that community. So with that, we are very excited to announce the James W. Griffin ASCE Memorial Scholarship, started with a very generous endowment of $1 million. This scholarship will go to the Dallas branch of ASCE towards college students seeking another degree, another level year of college. So this is in addition to our GV Man scholarship. It supplements it, whereas our GV Man is purely for seniors in high school going into college. This will provide continuing college scholarship opportunities through our branch. The scholarship will award 4% of its endowment every year based on the growth of the fund. So next year we will be excited to announce roughly $40,000 in scholarships to college students who live, work, or study in the Dallas and Fort Worth branch areas. and are attending an accredited civil engineering program at a university. So again, for those who are interested and want to pass that along, we're opening it up to anybody who lives in the Dallas-Fort Worth region, has worked for a company as an intern or whatever for a company in the Dallas-Fort Worth region, or goes to a school in the Dallas-Fort Worth region with an accredited program. We are also working with the Dallas Foundation to allow us to award part of this money as grants to ASCE student chapters in North Texas to send them to their competition, send them and their competition teams to conferences such as the Multi-Regional Leadership Conference, CECon, and the ASCE Student Symposium. Thank you for everyone who has worked behind the scenes on this for several months now, including Sean Merrill as a past president representative and Region 6 director, Mark Bauma as the representative for the James Griffin estate, and all the ad hoc members of the committee who have helped draft up the language and how this is all going to work. Also, a special thank you for the Dallas Foundation for making this endowment feasible and for managing the endowment. And most importantly, thank you to James W. Griffin and all of his family for making this possible and continuing to support the civil engineering community through your lasting legacy. So going forward, we anticipate opening up the scholarship window in April and running it through July. So for those students in the audience, pass that around to your fellow school members. That will let us advertise during the end of the school year as well as the first of the internship programs. So we're very excited for that to come next year or this year.
Thank you, Chad. For those of you who don't know Chad Ostrander, he has been our scholarship chair for the last couple of years, and he was actually pushing towards getting a scholarship to fund existing civil engineering students, and this came through.
Ho, ho, ho! And welcome to this year's ASCE Dallas branch kickoff for the Christmas is for Caring. Well, I got to ask, how did I do? Quinn Spann does a fantastic job, and everybody was leaning in pretty hard that I do a decent job with that. But Quinn, unfortunately, was unable to be here today. He will be back in December, so next month's branch meeting. But in his absence, I just want to share a couple of details. The ASCE Dallas branch has participated in supporting the Denton State Supported Living Center since 2003. Quinn is a past president and has been very passionate about this. And last year, when we kicked this off, we were raised just under $1,500 for this amazing facility. This facility supports residents and houses over 500 people with mental retardation and development disabilities. And most of the residents are adults with very simple Christmas needs. Since 2003, we've had just under $35,000 in donations to this. So again, I think we can beat last year. Let's get over 1,500. If you'd like to donate, please come find me after today's keynote, as well as Quinn Spann. If you have his contact information, reach directly out to him. If not, I can provide that to you. And again, we'll be taking those collections at our December meeting. All right. Oh, I do want to note, if you want more information on each of the tables, you'll find this printout that shares a little bit more. All right. A couple other things, kind of switching gears here. I want to talk a little bit about nominations. The Texas section right now is seeking nominees for several positions, and these include the president-elect, vice president of technical affairs-elect, vice president of educational affairs-elect, vice president for professional affairs-elect, and first-year director at large. And there's 2 positions, and you must be under 35 years of old to be in there. So if you have any interest in serving at the Texas section level, please come find myself. I'll help direct you to the right individuals to get that nomination in, as well as if you know somebody that maybe you could volunteer or just, nominate them. That would be great in any of these positions. I know the Texas section would greatly appreciate their nomination. Also, I want to share that we are now going to be seeking applications for Engineer of the Year and Young Engineer of the Year for the ASCE Dallas branch. And so these are intended to obviously recognize individuals that have made very meaningful contributions to our profession, our communities, and the welfare of the public. And so the young engineer, 35 years in age and younger, and the engineer of the year could also be, I guess, 35 years or younger, but looking for someone that's made many years of contributions to our profession. So if you're interested in that, please come find myself or Patrick Williams. Patrick, I know you're here somewhere. Wave your hands in the corner to get those nominations submitted. We need to have those before next month. The due date is next month because we quickly move into the new year in February, where we're going to be recognizing that Engineer of the Year and Young Engineer of the Year. So please, thank you. Get those nominations in, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Reese. We also still have volunteer opportunities with the ASCE Dallas branch. If you're willing to volunteer, please come talk to me. Now I'd like to have Angela Plans to talk about the last decade celebration.
Hi, everyone. It's been a long time since I've been up at the podium, so I just really glad to be back. It's been 10 years since I've been president, so I didn't realize how old I was getting when I was being asked to do history and heritage. Hi, missed you too, Mark. So something about Mark Boyd, it's a little bit of trivia for you. In 2014, he received the Engineer of the Year award, same time as Mark Sandu, who got the Young Engineer of the Year. So if you know these people, just remember that they did that 10 years ago. So this last decade, I think there was a lot of joy for me to look through because a lot of you probably had something to do with these awesome projects. You know, back from 2014 to 2023, we did a lot as a group, right? Civil engineers did quite a bit of work. One of them right now is Margaret McDermott Bridge. It's that the freeway portion was completed in 2017. I know that there's still other pieces that are being done, but for the most part, the two arches are up. And I mean, we have to congratulate ourselves for doing such great work and having a signature for us at the City of Dallas. Another one, try to see how this works. Oh, thank you. Okay. Was there a clicker? Oh, thanks. We also have the DART orange line. I bet a bunch of you have done work on that. That was something that connected Dallas to DFW Airport, which is really fun too. That was back in 2014, and some of y'all have done TexRail as well. That was Fort Worth to DFW. So there was a lot of work that we did on the rail side as civil engineers. Another really important project that we did this last decade is that we had a vision for the Trinity River Corridor, and this is with City of Dallas. It doesn't quite look like that anymore. There's more bridges now. So the Margaret McDermott Bridge, the Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge, all of those bridges are in place, and there's still more to come. Another fun project that I knew a lot of you have a piece in. I remembered when Carter and Burgess was a part of this, Clyde Warren Park. They did the structural engineering, so that was kind of neat. So that happened in 2012. So if you don't remember, that was when park was built on top of Woodall Rogers Park, Woodall Rogers Freeway. So that was kind of neat because it was connecting downtown and uptown Dallas. And I bet some of y'all have actually gone out there and enjoyed the activities out there. So another amazing feat by civil engineers. Okay, so this is more, a little bit more of what I do. So the water folks in here, if back 10 years ago, a lot of us were working on this. I think it started in 2011 that a lot of people were on this IPL project. So this is when Tarrant Regional Water District and DWU got together and we constructed, or designed and constructed a very large pipeline. 150 miles was designed and phase 1 was completed in 2018. So there's more to come, but this was pretty exciting collaboration between the two districts or two water utilities. And so and it really employed a lot of us during that downturn time in 2011. So if you guys remember that. And the very last one. So some of y'all may not remember that I went to go work for North Texas Municipal Water District, and Bodark Lake was built. The first lake impounded in 30 years. So this is a couple of pictures from the lake. It's pretty exciting. We were able to start delivering water to 2 million people back in 2023. And we're still working on building phase 2. So the region is growing. Civil engineers are needed in this area. So we have a lot of work to do, but I'm so proud of y'all. I wanted to just ask really quickly, of all the people in here, how many of these projects did you guys actually work on? So I want to see if you raise your hands and let me know. Of all these projects I listed today, did you work on them? All right. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So congratulations, everyone. We did a lot of work in 10 years. I know that there was more that we did, but this is just a little bit of hint of what we did in 10 years, and there's more to come, and I'm really excited for the civil engineering that we're about to do. So, and thank you, everybody, for welcoming me back. Thanks.
Thank you, Angela. It's always good to have you back. At this stage, I'm going to ask Brad Hernandez to come talk about AECOM, our sponsor.
Thank you, Fadi. Well, it's great being here, seeing so many familiar faces and getting an opportunity to meet some of you I have not met yet. It's great to sit by Angela, brings back some fond memories, and also, hearing about all the projects we've done in our career. I've always noticed that our careers are defined by kind of the stages of when you came into the industry and what was going on at that time. And so it's great to hear those great projects. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Brad Hernandez. I'm the Dallas office site leader for AECOM. Um, we're fortunate to be able to sponsor this month, especially the joint meeting with the SAME and celebrating Veterans Day. So we're happy and excited to be here and be the sponsor today. As most of you know, AECOM is a global Fortune 500 company. Um, so, what does that mean? We try to deliver a better world across the globe. While we have those global expertise and resources and all that fun stuff to help that, I really just want to focus on the 215 employees we have here in Dallas. Those are across our transportation business line, water, program and project management, buildings and places, environment, and yes, we even have some corporate folks here as well. Did that just come on? Okay. Um, so one of the things I like to do is, why did I come to AECOM? It's such a large company. How do I fit in? And so when I started 10 years ago, I was looking for the opportunity to take my career to the next level, looking to work on high profile projects and the resources that we had. And so, over the last 10 years, I've been able to capitalize on that. That's what AECOM brings. But the, the most important reason, and this is true, back when I started at AECOM, was because of the people. And that's why I still stay here today. I had a good group of folks that brought me on board. Some are still with us, and some are having success at other companies. But the people are why we're here. And so really what I want to do is I want to recognize our AECOM folks that are here today. If you would please stand. Thank you very much for being here and all the hard work you do. Appreciate that. These folks are just a microcosm of what we are here in Dallas, and culture is a big thing. We try to make sure that we are we have a team that's motivated, they collaborative, and they have our mission of AECOM in hand, and they do that. But I want to focus on a couple more people here, and I want to say thank you to them. I'm fortunate to be a past president of this great branch, and continuing that legacy of leadership and AECOM's commitment to ASCE. We have some folks here that I want to specifically call out that are current leaders and helping us pave the way for the future of ASCE. And that is, if you would please stand, Surya Bandari, Amanda Coif, Braden Hoffman, Osvaldo Martinez, and Shushpan Shrestha. If you would please stand. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. They're really putting the effort into volunteering. So thank you very much. So anyway, thank you for giving me the opportunity today. Reach out to me if you need anything or want to partner with AECOM. We're here to help.
Thank you, Brad. At this stage, I'm going to ask Farwa to come introduce our keynote speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Farwa Sultan, and I have the honor of introducing Mr. Jerry Cotter, our keynote speaker today. Jerry is the program director for the newly established Water Engineering Research Center, WERC, at the University of Texas at Arlington. I went there, so very awesome. The WERC will serve the region as a hub of research activities aimed at increasing resiliency and meeting the water resource challenges of the region. He recently retired as Chief of Water Resources for the Fort Worth District U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which managed and conducts investigations for 25 flood control reservoirs, levee systems across the Dallas-Fort Worth area, to numerous flood mitigation projects within the district, and numerous flood mitigation projects within the district. Jerry has a broad range of experience, including 34 years with the federal government and 10 years in the private sector. He has worked on a variety of infrastructure projects, including transportation, water, wastewater, as well as numerous studies within the region and nationally. I had the honor of speaking to Jerry for a little bit, so please join me in welcoming Jerry to the podium.
I don't think I need this, do I? Anyone going to misbehave? It's a great honor to speak before a distinguished group like this. To be able to call myself one of your peers is just amazing. I want to give the first shout out to SAME. At my time with the Corps of Engineers, I saw that and I'm not talking about the Corps, I'm talking about executed some years $1 to $2 billion worth of construction, building the military complex up and maintaining it. That's amazing. That complex is critical for supporting our soldiers in the field. As we know, very challenging times right now with the inflation, completing projects on budget. I also want to give a big shout out to ASCE. When I moved to this city back in it was about 2.5 million people. It's grown now to over 8 million people. That growth has happened for the most part. And I know I'm an optimist, so seamlessly. But to be able to serve 8 million people with water, wastewater, transportation, flood protection, I know you guys get busy with plan profile sheets, specs, studies, all kinds of things. But, raise your head up for a moment and think about, the construction that's gone on just in your time and will continue to go forward. And, I talked about the military complex, but without cities like this, with supply chains and, having people come up and join the military, we would not be the strong country that we are. And so, all of this costs a lot. The price of freedom is very high. And I just want to thank all of you for the work that you do. So I know what you're really wanting to know is, why would Jerry come back from retirement, to come back into all of this tough work. And I guess I'm going to have to use this one. Maybe. There we go. So my wife made me move up into this house in Michigan, way up there. My dog has recruited me onto his crew of the USS Dog's Best Friend. I have to look at these fall colors all the time. We have a collection of pets here. Goldenrod, that's our eagle, and Paul Bunyan, our woodpecker, and then Zippy, 1, 2, 3. I don't know why they're running like this. That shotgun I had was unloaded. So why is water resources important to Texas? And I think it's important that we step back and think about things. We have one of the most diverse and strong economies in the world. We are 9th in GDP at 2.6 trillion a year, larger than Russia, larger than most European countries. Germany, France, and UK exceed us, but we are way up there. We account for about 10% of the U.S. GDP. We're ranked 3rd in agriculture. 32% of the refinery comes from the Texas coast. Half the population growth is about 1,100 people a day. If you go back to 2000 population, subtract that from today's population, divide by the number of days, that's about what you're going to get. And that's amazing. We're on our way to 50 million people. We will be, one of the largest, probably the largest state eventually. Half of our population lives along I-35, and that's the area that's most subject to climate variability, droughts, floods, and protecting those people and protecting water is important. DFW is now the 4th largest metropolitan area, and it will be transitioning to the 2nd largest if the population growth occurs as projected. And typically those projections have been low. There are current water supply deficits across the state, about 3 million according to the Texas Water Plan, and in the future, 7 million. There's 23 new reservoirs planned, 80 billion projected cost. Those reservoirs take between 20 and 30 years each to develop. And so we're looking for volunteers to fill that 500 man years of reservoir development that we have out there. Anybody? There are well-established connections between water and waste and food and energy. And I don't think I need to talk to this crowd further about that, but food security, energy security are all very tightly ranked. I want to mention also that inflation here in this post-COVID era has made constructing projects just all that more difficult. I'm sure you guys have all run into that problem. You had a budget, you bid a project, and then you had to downscope your project or go back for more money. So really difficult times for us. There's about 200 major reservoirs across Texas. There's actually over 1,000 reservoirs, but I'm talking about the larger ones. There are billions of dollars invested in those reservoirs. They're aging. There's all kinds of issues and problems with them. Just the core projects have prevented $150 billion in damages. Their cost for like the Dallas floodway system and the 6 reservoirs was about $2.5 billion. So you can see that's been a great investment. DFW also has significant water supply deficits. And understanding water science is just, it's going to be very important. We're going to have to innovate. We're going to have to come up with new ways of doing things because things are just becoming so expensive. It's really challenging to keep up these projects. Um, I want to back up a second and ask a question, maybe. So what event was defeated in 1973 on the Trinity River that was really pivotal to? Go ahead. Yeah, the ship channel was defeated, and it was proposed to go down to Houston, um, and of course the voters voted that down. Now we have a sustainable rivers program. We're trying to enhance the environment of the Trinity River. The Trinity River has been designated a national paddling trail through Dallas-Fort Worth. Can you believe that? um, and there's only 8 of those in the country. There's a trail being built now to connect Dallas and Fort Worth. Last I saw, it was supposed to be completed in 2025. So we're going to get that river back, and it's important that we all, when we see something, say something, and let's get that river cleaned up, and let's bring it forward. There's huge investments in coastal resiliency going on. This says 34 billion, but that's way out in the future, so it's going to be a lot more than that. But Houston is one of the largest ports in the world. It's first in the U.S. In terms of tons, and it's first in the U.S. in terms of the amount that moves through there. So fortifying that coast is of critical importance. We had an active flood period from 2009 to 2019. In Texas, we had 160 fatalities, billions of dollars in damages. And so, we've got to improve our scorecard in that regard. All right. Um, Severe flooding events can occur anytime in Texas. We normally we design here, and I'm simplifying, for about 10 inches of rainfall in 24 hours when we do our infrastructure. I've got a chart here that shows the storms that exceed that 10 inches. And in 2009 to 2019, we had over 20 of those storms. You can see Harvey was one of them. Patricia was another storm that hit just 50 miles from Dallas. College Station storm hit. So what type of storms do you think these are mainly? Anybody? You would think tropical, right? Because that's our biggest threat. But actually, the College Station storm was a convective event that dropped up around 20 inches in 24 hours. So those storms can hit anywhere in the state. They're critical that we are aware of them, that we plan for them. Our memory doesn't go back to the 30s and 40s, but we had another period like this in the 30s and 40s, and we'll have more of these periods in the future. We do our precipitation frequencies based on point rainfalls at a point. I don't think they're very representative. I've been advocating that we change that science. This is kind of what those storms between 2009 and 2019 look like graphically. If I can get this to work. There we go. And that's that storm that hit just south of Dallas. And then you see Harvey as well. Largest storm in the U.S. history. And we're continuing to see these types of storms. These storms, this flooding impacts all infrastructure groups. Transportation was very impacted, and we have a project that we're partnering with transportation that was motivated out of that statewide impact to the transportation infrastructure. It has impacted water systems. That's kind of rare. In 2015, we had a situation where the droughts and floods had caused the sewer mains along the Trinity River to rupture and break apart. And we were getting fresh water into the treatment plant. TRA contacted us. We had to do kind of a joint operation, reduce the flows in the dams and allow them to get in and fix those mains, or it was going to kill the biota in the treatment plant. So critical items. Here we go. And this is a video showing the flooding around the state during that period.
Yes, my name's Brian. I'm in Wimberley. I'm on Loma Vista. A house just went by with the river, and there was a person in it with a spotlight.
I went over here to check up on my friend, and I'm talking about the water was risen up to my neck. Like, that's scary. That was very scary.
We saw the boat come by first, and we took the first chance we could get out of there.
So you were pulled off your rooftop?
Yes, into a boat. Yes, that's how high the water is.
It was around 3 in the morning, and we saw outside and everything was flooded, everything.
We're subject to climate variability, especially in this central part of the state. In 2011, TCEQ showed up in my office, and they told me they had Dow Chemical in tow, and they said, if you don't find us some water, we're going to not be able to make petrochemicals, and the refineries are going to shut down. At the Corps, we're always being promoted, and the state owns all the water. I didn't own any, with Corps doesn't own any of the water, but we were able to pull our stakeholders together, and we did have some hydropower water in a perch pool, and so we were able to agree and make that water available. But in Dallas-Fort Worth, our rain varies from 18 inches to 62 inches, so droughts, floods. Also, the response of the basins is not linear. So just a little bit less rainfall means a lot less runoff. And it's a real threat. We finished a study in 2019 and published it. And it shows that several basins, the Colorado and the Brazos, are producing much less water now than they used to. We're still investigating that. But we think it's tied to the development of storage and the increased evaporation that creates. We're also seeing population move into the area differently than it was originally planned. It's distributed differently. So we're starting to build all kinds of pipelines. As part of that watershed trend study, we also study temperatures, and temperatures are up 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit across Texas. So, it really is getting warmer. Next slide. So I'm going to talk about my life's work now, and not just my life's work, but the life's work of many of us. And I'm going to talk about it in terms of, building a house. So a house has a foundation, it has walls, it has a roof. So foundation of our house is going to be data. So we've invested millions. Just out of my office at the Corps, I spent about 1.2 million on just the surface water gauge network every year. Nationwide, the Corps spends over 20 million a year on this network. We also developed Doppler radar with our partners, the National Weather Service. So we have digital preset products. Most recently are throwing out our antiquated evaporation pans. They do not accurately reflect evaporation, and we're computing evaporation. That's really important to accurately compute that. We've already got water deficits. Let's understand those correctly. But also we've got increasing temperatures, so we need to be able to tell what the evaporation is going to be in the future. And so this has really helped us. Next slide. That would be the data. That's the foundation, right? Here's the walls. We have to have tools that we can ingest that data, analyze it. So we've invested millions and millions in these tools to be able to improve this. Who can tell me what happened in the late 40s through the mid 50s in San Francisco in terms of San Francisco Bay? Anyone? Well, there was an actor who had some political connections, and we were going to dam San Francisco Bay. That would have been an ecological catastrophe. But we didn't have these modeling tools back then. So you know how we had to do this? We built a physical model in a big warehouse, 1.5 acres, and we simulated what would happen in San Francisco Bay over time and determined that there was too much evaporation, other problems with water quality and whatnot. So through that, now we have these modern tools. I'll give you a little history. When I worked for the Corps the first time, from 1980 to 1984, the Water Resources Group was about 70 people. I left, went into the private sector, came back after the Super Collider had its super collision with Congress, and the Water Resources Group was 14 people. So not just the Corps, but all agencies, all programs. Remember, the space program was cut, the Super Collider, there was this huge downsizing. And so we were building our own systems, shoestring and bubblegum. But after 9/11, we kind of saw the writing on the wall that cybersecurity was going to become a huge issue, that we weren't going to be able to just shoestring and bubblegum our systems together anymore. So we band together nationally. We invested, just our group raised 11 million, and we brought these tools, which ingest the meteorology, do the hydrology, the hydraulics, the water management, and also consequences, and allow us to really numerically understand what's happening out there. I was the program manager for our conversion into Riverware. We had an old Fortran program, and I began that in 2000. It took till 2008, millions of dollars, but we ported all our algorithms into Riverware, a modern tool, which we use today. Next slide. So that's the walls of our house. So now let's put the roof on. So now we needed actual models. So the Corps was able to allocate 125 million. We got 8 million of that in Texas, and we built this suite of numerical models so that we could, understand what's going on with the basins. In 2015, when we had a large flood, we were able to forecast these reservoirs here in Dallas-Fort Worth to within 1/10 of a foot. days out based on rainfall from that data system. I mean, amazing technological advances. Next. And this is the implementation in Texas. And the Nueces and the Lavaca, I think, are actually finished, and so is the sulfur now. Next slide. And this was that big event in 2015. We had kind of a wet spring, so the dams were full. And then we ended up with between 20 and 30 inches in a 6-week period. Completely overwhelmed the dams. The red means they were completely full. We're in surcharge, or what some people call emergency operations. These were training events, so they don't fit into that slide I showed you earlier, because none of these events were over 10 inches in 24 hours, but it was 6 weeks of continuous rainfall. We went into 24/7 operations. We did hundreds of forecasts with that new system, which had just come online, and it worked beautifully. A lot of prickliness across the country over that initially, and the community has really come together because that tool has really done so well. When we were building that tool, we stood up 15 field teams around the country and really interacted with our hydrologic engineering center to get those. Those inundation mappings that we generated ahead of spills out of the dams and then across the whole state for Tatum, they were used for evacuations. We had huge dam safety operations. You probably don't realize this, but we have to fly people in because we have to put someone on that dam 24/7, walking up and down the face of that dam looking for distress when they get that full. Some of the lakes we had to close to recreation because there were houses around the lakes that a wake would have went into their house. So we had to shut those down. We had deviations. That means we deviated from our plan of operation because of certain conditions that we encountered. And then the thing I want to point out most importantly is every drop of water that you see falling on that basin has to exit on the Trinity River south of Dallas. That's the only exit point. So imagine this as a giant bathtub, and that exit is the drain. And it does not have the capacity to move all the water that falls in the rain. Our practice in development is what? Well, in the past, we're starting to change, is to move that water off of our development as quickly as possible, right? Channelization. When we do that, all we're doing is just shoving that water down onto someone else. They say this was a 1,000-year event or greater, but I'm hearing all of these events are 1,000-year. Harvey was a 50,000-year event. Do you really think we're witnessing 1,000-year and 50,000-year events commonly? Hurricane or Tropical Storm Helene, that's another huge event that I haven't seen what that plot's at, but it's going to be over a 1,000-year event. We're just seeing more frequent of these events. That's what's happening. Next slide. So now that we've got our house built, right, and we brought our family in, the core family, with the modeling through those events, now we need to invite our friends in. And so the first thing we did was we went to FEMA, the USGS, the National Weather Service, and suggested a partnership. And FEMA was very frustrated because they were having to do their floodplain studies community by community. The fact that we had models that covered the entire watershed meant that they can now go to the watershed scale. In the past, they would finish one community, 10 years later, come to the community next door, and they would have different answers at the boundaries. And so this gives us an opportunity to really have a much better outcome here. We also started the Inform Academic Council, which is a group of professors from around the state, UT, UTA, A&M, and they're doing research for us. Next slide. So some of the products, NOAA Atlas 14, who knows what that is? So that took about 3 or 4 years. Did you know that's not funded nationally? We had to go around with a hat. And TxDOT really stepped up and funded about half of it. The Corps funded some of it, but just City of Fort Worth funded some, Harris County Flood Control District. So we all come together. What do we learn from that? See the blue line on that chart? That's how the 100-year has changed over time. So in Houston, the 100-year 24-hour rainfall went from about 13 inches to 18 inches in 24 hours, putting about 70,000 new homes in an at-risk status. So that southeast portion of Texas, we saw some non-stationarity and precipitation frequencies from that. Once we finish that, then we have to know, how do we apply that? So the GLO funded a storm study, and we pulled some scientists together from our Inform Academic Council, and we developed design storms, a storm catalog, all these things. And then we plugged that into our runoff models, our hydrology models, and we can then determine, what is the threat in terms of the amount of water that's going to reach a community. And those are fantastic in that they look at sensitivity to storm size, to routing parameters, to hydrograph transforms, all of the knobs that you have on those models. What makes those, what is it sensitive to? And so we have a much better understanding. We also generated this thing called base level engineering, where we're generating hydraulic models across the entire state, so that communities can just pick those up. And there are 75%. Next slide. So this is kind of a case study on the Blanco River. And what was happening prior to those watershed hydrology assessments is mainly statistical hydrology. They would take the gauge record prior to the year they were computing it, plug that into a pachinko machine, and come out with an answer. Well, with every new piece of data, that answer changes. So you can see there in 1950, the answer was 29 feet on the Blanco River. Build your house 29 feet above the bottom of the river and you're going to be safe. Just 10 years later, the answer was 49 feet. Then when the maps got published, it was back at 30 feet. And then when we did an after action study after the flooding event, you're going to see we raised it to 42 feet. And we did that with the numerical models, where we could actually supplement that historical data with some better data. As part of those analytical tools that we developed tools where we can shift storms. So that storm that hit Rush Creek in Arlington, I can shift that over in a morning to Johnson Creek and see what would have happened on Johnson Creek. What a powerful tool, right? And we use that tool if we're in a watershed that hasn't really been hit by a big event. We can pull a nearby big event over and see what would have happened in that watershed. Next slide. How much? How much time? Okay. So let's go ahead and advance forward. Just keep going. And we've got more people coming into this. There's several state programs that are joining us. Next program. Next slide. We're doing these community flood assessments now at the Corps, where we take all of those products, combine them together. Next slide. I'm going to skip through these. Keep going. Keep going. Let's go to the next to last slide. So this is our partnership with transportation to partner and actually develop stormwater infrastructure with transportation infrastructure. So we're talking about different bridges, taking additional right-of-way for the storage of that water, and transportation has stepped up and they're on board. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, I want to talk a minute about this. One of the reasons for TSI, we're seeing hotter and hotter temperatures. This is that heat dome that hit Portland. There were temperatures in Portland 124 degrees. In Washington State, 145 degrees. Texas is projected to have those higher temperatures as well. Areas of Portland where tree growth had been, where they were building with green infrastructure, never broke 100. So it stresses the importance of having green infrastructure. Next slide. Next slide. And next slide. And so this is where I want to end, and I want to end with kind of a discussion here. So as we've gone out on this TSI project, there's 86 cities in the footprint of that. You know how many cities there are in DFW? It's about 170. And so as growth and development hits a city, what happens? What conflict happens? Some of you have had to witness this. There becomes this conflict between those who want to preserve the character of their community and those that know growth is coming and they're going to have to deal with it. And so you see this gnashing go on in each city as it comes together. They're having terrible problems with some of these cities just have a mayor only. So who's going to help these cities? Who's going to bring them forward in time? And I think ASCE is really in a unique position to engage and come together and figure out some solutions to this. The Council of Governments, they're not staffed to handle this. The Corps of Engineers, we can't touch 170 cities. So we need help. So I would love to see you guys get together, come together and talk about this problem of these cities being overwhelmed with growth and development. And terrible problems. Some of them are on groundwater that's depleting. There's just huge issues there, and they need guidance. They need help. And I think we could come together. We could give you guys some feedback to the planning organization like the COG so that you could bring the problems you're seeing out there and we could address that with some of the planning documents and things that we're preparing. So that's a little bit preachy, but it's a problem that I've been seeing that for a number of years, and these folks are struggling out there. Who touches them? Each one of them hires a consulting firm, but they don't talk to the Corps. They don't all get to talk to the COG, but you guys could actually make an impact on this. That's my appeal. Thanks.